Okay, so here we are. I'm Richard Burton for the Richard Burton Art Centre, and we're out here, plein air, painting, out in the open at North Landing, Flamber on the East Yorkshire coast. It's a wonderful venue. I mean, it really is absolutely wonderful. It's great to be out here. I mean, it's Easter Saturday, actually. The weather's not bad. There's some big clouds, there's some shadows coming across, and I'm painting. Going to have a go at painting North Landing, which is a small cove on the coast of Yorkshire by the Flamber Head, and it really is a lovely place to paint the rocks, the sea, the sky, and all the elements that come with it. I've got my easel ready, I've got a board, I've got my paper stretched onto the paper, I've got some water ready, and I've got my pencil, and we're going to have a go at sketching it in. What I'm looking for first of all is a composition, and I've got a lovely one here with the cliffs and the sea. The tide is out. I've got a little bit of interest with this boathouse in the corner here, leading my eye down into the sort of bay and the beach and people on the beach. It's quite a nice, interesting competition. It comes to life when the light comes out. It's behind a bit of cloud at the moment, but it will be in and out in the course of the afternoon. So there'll be a lot to see and a lot of colours to capture. So there we are, we're all ready. So let's get down to some painting. Okay, so we'll start with the sky. It's quite a soft wash, so I'm going to wet the paper first, ensure that I can then put what I see as an underlying sort of warm yellow wash just as a background to the clouds. I'm going to drop that in with sort of yellow ochre. Then I'm going to make a light grey of something like ultramarine and burnt umber, which is just a sort of light soft grey to drop in a few shadows, and then into that I'm going to drop in some blue, and the blue is going to be a sort of a soft combination of ultramarine blue and then a little bit of Prussian blue towards the horizon, and let that diffuse and just soften through, and that should be suffice for a nice soft sky. So now we're going to work onto the sea. I want to work through, and now this is going to be a variegated wash onto dry paper. So meaning that I'm going to start with one colour, then transition it through to some other colours till we work our way through from the distant sea to the foreground. And to start off with, I'm going to something like Prussian blue and ultramarine blue, which will provide a nice crisp blue that will form on the horizon. I'm going to brush that through, taking a bead of colour as I come down, so just bringing it down gradually as I come through. Change it by adding some alizarin crimson into there, just to give it a bit of a colour change as we start coming towards the waves and the rocks. As we come through the rocks and the waves, I'm then going to start adding a little bit of yellow ochre just to give it a further colour change, because the sea gets shallower, and if you look at it you can see that colour change. It's more noticeable when the sun's on it, and obviously it really shows, but at the moment the cloud is behind the sun, but it's still there, and I could see it earlier, so I'm going to make sure that I can capture that. Next I'm going to continue through trying to get blocking these areas of colour, and I'm going to work with the sort of immediate rocks by the water's edge down to the sand, and that's going to be sort of a yellow ochre with an alizarin crimson sort of combination really, which will take that through, and it will get stronger as it comes towards the foreground. And then going to work into the rocks in the distance by putting some soft washes of yellow ochre with a touch of ultramarine blue, and going to wash those through the rocks and get a lot of the areas covered. And that's going to be quite a crucial bit really. So more and more I'm getting rid of the white paper, and I'm starting to block in these areas of colour. Now I'm going to start to embark on my first sort of areas of greens. I want to get these greens sort of first blocks of colour with the greens. Now the greens, you've got quite a differing colour. it's quite dull because the sun is behind the clouds still, but nonetheless there's still got that sort of sense of distance that I need to try and convey in these greens. And the cliff tops in the distance, I'm going to use something like Prussian blue, yellow ochre, raw sienna with a little bit of a lemon yellow, just to sort of give me a sense of, that's quite useful. More raw sienna though than lemon yellow to give me that fading of distance. And as I come forward, I'm going to add in more lemon yellow and a little bit more Prussian blue to try and give that stronger blue as I come through the paper. We're now going to sort of work towards sort of capturing the essence of the rocks and the cliffs, and that's going to be really important. So I want to start with distant colours. I'm going to use cobalt blue and light red from the first lot of greys really for those, and I'm going to drop some greys and shadows in place along the whole of the cliff areas, and leaving that pinnacle of rock that comes out. I'm going to try and leave that as white as I possibly can at this moment and develop these greys as I go forward. As I come towards me, I'm going to start adding some ultramarine blue, burnt umber and a little bit of crimson into the mix to give some depth and dynamic to those. And then once I've sort of got that initial 2 or 3 washes in place, I'm then going to develop some darks. We'll start developing the darks, the real shades, because there's some real sort of depth of dark and shadow in these cliffs that gives them that sort of 3-dimensional feel, that really gives them sort of sense of pleasance. So that's going to be important, and they're going to be a mix of combination of ultramarine blue, probably even a bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of a alizarin crimson. And we'll vary those colours but work our way through the picture, but ensuring that we capture the strength of darks at the appropriate points. Next, I want to sort of capture the boathouse, get a sort of sense of shape to that boathouse. There's a distinct sort of shadow on one side, and then there's a highlight and sun on the other. And I'm going to use some soft greys first of all, which are going to be ultramarine burnt umber, really, which will work. And I'm going to use Prussian blue, a very pale Prussian blue for giving the indication of a sort of a blue roof, which will be really helpful. On the shadow side, I'm going to use ultramarine blue burnt umber with a touch of alizarin crimson, just to give it a little bit of a colour change. And in that side, I'm then going to add in some further darks and a little bit of more reds and such like as well, just to give a bit of texture and a little bit of shape to that side of the boathouse. Now I'm working up the details. I want to ensure that I get some details on the boathouse. I want to do some details on the rocks in the distance. That's sort of important now that I start developing those shapes, bring the picture into focus really in that sense. And after that, we then sort of pick up the boat in question, you know, the actual fishing boat that's just moored up on the side. That wants to be sort of captured with some colours and providing, also allowing a little bit of highlight on there as well. Make sure that sort of highlight's captured on there as well. And then finally, I'm looking at putting the figures in, which just gives that sense of scale again to the painting, gives a sense of scale to the size of the cliffs. and it provides that little bit of interest and also that bit of a story, because it's Easter Saturday. There's people there enjoying their Easter Saturday on the beach, doing various sort of activities. Mostly with the tide out, they're doing exploring the rocks and exploring the caves, and I want to try and capture that feel. The figures are just quite loose, they're quite sort of simple, but nonetheless hopefully convey a message of, as I say, size and scale, and also just that final bit of interest into the painting. Right, so we're back in the studio now, and I've just put a mount round the finished painting. It was lovely being out there doing a plein air painting. Nothing quite the same as going out and actually seeing the colours, seeing the location and painting on location. It's something I'd really do recommend. And in this case, we've done a little simple scene of North Landing. It's come together very much like the what we planned. We've got the cliffs, we've got the tide out, we've got the building on the left hand side, which sort of leads your eye through the pathway down to the boat that's moored off the beach, and then it leads your eye into the picture with these few people taking you through into the cliffs and out through the sky. So all in all, I'm quite happy for it, really. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found it interesting. As I say, that's another form of demonstration, being outside and getting a full feel for the conditions and the colours. And I hope if you like it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Obviously, that helps us get found by the algorithms and get out to a wider audience. And I suppose all I'm left to say now is until next time, enjoy and keep painting.